Welcome back. New research by the Zero Dropout Campaign has found that government's learner level data is incomplete. It says this makes it near impossible to track dropout stats over the years. Rahima Essop, communications lead at Zero Dropout Campaign, joins us now to discuss this even further. Ms. Essop, thank you so much for your time. I mean, this is quite concerning. What does your data and research tell you about the lack of adequate and, complete information in as far as dropout rates are concerned, and as far as government's records are concerned as well?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Yes, despite the importance of accurate data and information, we don't have systematic and complete learner-level data that can help us track their pathways through school over a long time. What this means is that until we are able to track learners more intentionally, we cannot know the true extent of dropout in the country. And what we are working with currently are just estimates, but we need up-to-date, reliable, complete and accurate learner-level data. What I mean is detailed information about individual learners that can help us to put early warning systems in place to be able to prevent dropout.
If what we have at our disposal right now is only estimates, could this mean that the number of dropouts in the country could be more?
Absolutely. We do not have a true account of the dropout rate in the country at the moment. We know that the current pandemic is going to have a negative impact on dropout, but we just don't have the data available to be able to tell us. We know that the Department of Education put out some figures not too long ago. They estimated that around 326,000 learners are unaccounted for and may have dropped out. However, these figures show improbable variations from province to province, suggesting that no standard definition of dropout or any universal set of indicators we use to get to that figure.
Yeah. If we don't get the accurate number of some of the stats, the dropout stats rather, in the country, and we cannot account for all the pupils that have basically left school, what dangers could this potentially mean?
Well, for us as a campaign, we are aiming to halve the rate of school dropout by 2030 by spurring individual and collective ownership of the problem. And we need to first change the perception that school dropout is a normal occurrence by prioritizing it as a national problem. And in order to be able to increase national awareness and in order to get a handle on dropout, we need accurate data, so that we can put those early warning systems in place and we are able to catch learners before they drop out, because dropout is a process. It happens over a long period. It's a process of disengagement as a result of push out and pull out factors in a young person's life, which means that we are able to intervene in that process and prevent dropout from happening. But in order to do that, we need to start early, and in order to start early, we need accurate data to be able to track indicators such as absenteeism, academic performance, and those kinds of things, those kinds of detailed data that we need to be able to prevent our learners from dropping out of the system.
Yeah, and as an organization, would you attribute the pandemic as sort of the main drive or the main driver of, the dropout rate that we've seen this year?
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic impact of this pandemic has amplified the disruptions in learners' lives. Now, these disruptions often lead to dropout disruptions in the home environment, in the community, and at the school level. For instance, we saw a protracted period of school closures. We saw disruptions at the home level with increased hunger and challenges in the home environment, with lots of people losing their jobs. Particularly women were affected early on in the pandemic, and at the community level as well. And those disruptions bear down on the learner, causing disengagement over a long time. We also know that learners in the lower quintile schools, quintile 1 to 3 and no-fee schools, for instance, did not have the access to distance learning. So the pandemic has revealed and exposed the fragility in the system, in the education system, as well as the inequalities in the education system. And definitely those things are going to have an impact on dropout.
Yeah. And just before I let you go, I mean, how do you as an organization then propose that we get to a zero dropout rate in this country?
Well, the first thing is that we need to take collective ownership of the problem. We need to understand that dropout is preventable and that it also affects us all, which means that we can all do our part to stop it from happening. There are everyday things that we can do in our daily lives to support our learners, to help them stay in and succeed at school. For instance, having a caring adult in a child's life has shown, research has shown this, that it does make a difference. Even if a child comes from a challenging home environment, having that caring, supportive adult does make a difference in supporting the child through school. We need policy changes at a high level. We need to be able to get the accurate data. We need dropout to be seen as a KPI. Currently, it's not prioritized. There isn't a coordinated national response to deal with dropout, and it needs to be understood at that high level as a national problem. We know that the Minister of Education, her performance contract was made public not too long ago by the President, and one of the performance indicators is the number of matric passes, but we don't have dropout as that kind of milestone. So we need to prioritize it at a policy level and a national level, and there are things that we can do at a home level and as a society as well.
All right, Rahima Essop, thank you so much for your time.